Hi, lovies. This is Karma's Eye Psychic LLC here on Universal Spirit Podcast. And this episode, we are going to talk about the psychic's place in legal matters or in court decisions, and just their place in the court system in general. You might have heard throughout your entire spiritual journey of maybe seeing psychics or visiting them and getting readings, or when you join lives on social media, there's always a disclaimer on most psychics where it says please no pregnancy, right, and no legal questions, right? So we try to steer clear of those types of questions, especially when asking a yes no or just asking for some general advice. It is still very irresponsible of us as the spiritual reader to give out any advice when it comes to those particular matters. Even if we have a degree in that area, even if we have some education in that area, we are not allowed by law, and this is universal for the whole United States, if you're in the United States, and also abroad as well, that we cannot give out specific legal advice, right? So if you are wondering, hey, should I file for divorce, or should I go through the custody process with this person or whichever, we cannot say yes or no. Okay? We can't say hey, am I pregnant? We can't say yes or no, even if you were, right? We cannot say yes or no, mostly because we're not doctors and we cannot diagnose. And when it comes to medical questions, okay, that is one of the worst slippery slopes for any spiritualist to be on, okay? Because already by a lot of scientific practitioners, our type of work is not recognized as a real science, even though it is considered to be metaphysical and the word physical is involved, so we could be left to our common sense, right? However, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. Even if I was a doctor and I was a psychic at the same time, I cannot, over any means of social media, over the phone, or any type of recorded line, say yes or no. Very, very dangerous place to be in. And people wonder why, and besides the reasons that I've already mentioned, is that people who come to psychics take their advice sometimes very, very seriously. They do not understand the idea of it being, entertainment. They did not understand that, we are guided through metaphysical tools, or we are guided through, like tarot cards and based off our own intuition. Some people's intuitions can be wrong. Sometimes we pick up energy of other people that are on you. So for us to say definite yes and for us to say definite no can lead a person to do very catastrophic things, okay? They can make really huge mistakes. They say, oh, well, my psychic told me that I was pregnant, or my psychic told me that I wasn't pregnant, when that is not the person you should be asking. You really should consult medical advice from a medical practitioner, right? Because we cannot put ourselves in that position to say we are an expert of this. And honestly, if I don't have an ultrasound machine, I have no idea if you are pregnant or not. Even if I were to draw a card that would indicate yes, you are pregnant, it doesn't mean you're pregnant that very moment. It could say yes, pregnancy is in the future, or you have the potential at this time to be pregnant. And if you don't have a significant other and you are not sexually active, there is no scientific or physical way for that to be possible, right? So you would know and automatically assume that I am not being truthful with you. Also, when it comes to legal matters, besides the reasons I've already spoke about, is that, again, people can do catastrophic things, especially when it comes to legal matters, considering there are more moving parts to legal matters, right? There's you, there's other people, there's law enforcement, there are judges, there are attorneys, right? But practitioners can give you an idea of what people might be thinking, give you an idea of what people might be planning, okay? Give you pretty much a forecast of the situation, whether it is favorable for you at this time or maybe favorable for you later, okay? That particular moment getting the reading, practitioners are very careful rather to say yes or no. Okay, for example, if you were to say, hey, I'm in the middle of this custody battle, am I going to win this upcoming court case, right? Because any type of legal proceedings usually have more than one, okay, court hearing. So if y'all were to say, no, you are not going to win this court case, I'm assuming, or I'm making you assume that you are not going to win overall. And you could give up and then, go and harm yourself, and we don't want that. Or go harm the other person or whichever. If you were to then take it with a grain of salt and say, hey, this particular proceeding that's coming up might not go in your favor, it's not looking like it's going to go in your favor, then it would give you an incentive to be patient with the matter, right? You would be patient with the whole proceeding in general, that, okay, maybe not this time, but maybe next time I'll have better luck. And if we were just, just having common sense, if you are looking for an answer for something that requires a specialist, you would want to go to a specialist, not somebody that's probably just as confused as you are, right? Like you're not gonna ask a locksmith to bake you a cake, all right? Let's just be honest here. So unfortunately, psychics and spiritual practitioners are, they're very well versed in their particular industry or their craft or, in their field. Okay, so everyone, in every field would like to keep what they know to what they know, right? Because when it comes to legal matters and when it comes to medical situations, these can be life and death situations. So we don't want to put ourselves, in a place where we can drastically affect those things. Okay, I have provided some links down below for you to check that out. They are really good reads. They do answer a lot of your other questions that you may have in regards to psychics and why we don't answer, legal questions. So in case you were ever wondering why, I just hope I provided enough information for that. I mean, like I said before, it's nothing wrong with offering, their suggestions of how they feel it may go for you, but they cannot pinpoint an exact thing to do for you. They can't say definitely file for divorce or definitely do this or definitely do that, right? That's not our forte. We stay out of other people's fields, and we clearly, keep true to our own. We don't want to affect your life in any negative way. We can predict if somebody is going to file against you. We can predict if, you might, get sick in the future, right? And we might pinpoint to exactly which particular body part it resonates with, right? Or it's going to be, but we do not diagnose, we do not suggest certain, treatment. You know what comes with all that, things that people are allergic to and all that yada, right? And lastly, for the really, 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 butthurt, skeptical people, when it comes to, legal matters, yes, we do have spells to help you with those particular things, help you to evade court, help you to, get the upper hand. And yes, a lot of witches, if not all, practitioners have, medicinal herb remedies for sicknesses and stuff like that. However, again, we are not licensed doctors or licensed attorneys or anything like that. So yes, we do provide a lot of medicinal, medicine and, herbs and, cures for whatever it is you need, but those things need to be handled lightly, and they do not work universally for everyone. That's why we keep true to sticking with what we know. right? So I can't know from off the bat that you are allergic to something, right? I cannot know right off the bat, that, you've been to this, you've been to jail before and this and that. Okay, we can do readings, yes, but we're not going to say, oh, you should dodge this person or you should just ignore. We're not doing that. We're not going to say that, and I'm pretty sure I explained myself, right? So in case you were ever wondering why we as psychics do not, and to be honest with you, I would definitely steer clear and red flag any psychic or practitioner who is very willing to answer those questions, because they might be desperate for your money. They're just desperate for, a following, and clients, and you just, whatever clout that they're looking for, that is the wrong way to go. But let's be honest, you wouldn't want someone to just give you an answer that is just off the top of their head, right? You would want someone to, really know what they're talking about. But we will always, at least a mature practitioner will always steer you in the direction of seeking your own personal, legal advisor, or, doctor or medical advisor. All right, my lovies. So again, this is Christina with Karma's Eye Psychic LLC here on Universal Spirit Podcast. I will see you in the next episode. This was just a bonus to answer one of your small questions. All right, lovies. See you later.